Hello and welcome back to the East Carolina Law Group. My name is Attorney Tim Koller and I'm the Principal Attorney at Law here. And this segment we're going to do on estate planning. And what is an estate plan? What are your options? What kinds of vehicles are there for an estate plan? So what is an estate plan? Who has an estate? Well, effectively, everybody has an estate. You may think you have nothing. You may think you own nothing. You may think you have no obligations. But really you do. Everybody does. And I've almost never seen a situation where somebody did not have some sort of an estate. So it's important to know what your rights are. Now we're going to talk about the three basic options for an estate plan and what we provide here at the East Carolina Law Group. The first option is no estate plan. And this is a statutory mechanism that is built into the law that is called intestate succession or estate administration. And this is a situation where you have a person who dies with no will, no trust, no direction. And what this is this is a legislative attempt to figure out what the intent of the decedent was, the person who had passed away. So intestate succession is the least desirable of all the estate plans. It would require that an administrator be appointed. It could be a family member that lives in the state if they qualify and nobody objects, but most of the time it ends up being an attorney who's appointed to administer the estate and do the accounting and things of that nature. Now it's important to remember that if your loved one passes away with no will, no trust, nothing like that that sets out what their wishes are for their estate, that the attorney who's appointed to represent them doesn't represent you. They represent the best interest of the estate. So keep that in mind if you're dealing with them. They have no duty necessarily to communicate with you. Their duty is to the estate to communicate with the court and make sure that things are going the way they're supposed to go. So that is an estate administration. Again, it's the least desirable. Now, one of the biggest misnomers is that if I'm married and my significant other passes away, that any property they have will automatically become mine. Well, that's not necessarily true. In certain circumstances, yes, but it depends on how that property has been titled during the lifetime of those parties. But just by being married does not entitle the other spouse to having all the other person's property. It doesn't work that way. There can be a number of complications, and unfortunately there's just too many different scenarios to go over in this video. Matter of fact, studying estates and intestate succession is one of the most strenuous pieces of the bar exam, is learning how intestate succession works, and it's different in every state. So make sure if you're not in North Carolina, contact a local attorney in your state to discuss this, and they'll explain to you how it works in more detail. The second type of an estate plan is a will. And this is the easiest way that you can tell folks what it is you want when you pass away. Now remember that a will is a death document. It doesn't have any effect until you were to pass away. And a will has to be properly created. Just simply writing some things down or telling somebody what you want does not mean that you have an enforceable will. You need to make sure that you contact an attorney. Now, the East Carolina Law Group, we have an estate planning attorney. It's Maria Minus, and she's going to be doing a video later on in the series. But she does our estate planning for us, and she can produce for you anything from a simple will, which is just a general bequest, meaning I generally want all my stuff to go to my best friend, whoever. Or she could do a more complex will situation where she sets up a trust within a will, or vice versa. She can create pour-over wills and other things like that for you. And for more information on those, you visit our website or come give us a call, and we'll sit down and discuss, estate planning options with you. So estate planning is extremely important, and it's not just for elderly folks. An estate plan is very, very important for anybody because you are ultimately going to acquire property, debts, assets of any type of nature throughout the course of your life. And so it's very important that you have a will and you know who you want your things to go to. Now, remembering also with a will, you cannot change a will. A will must be revoked and then rewritten. So as your life circumstances change, remember, you'll need a new will. A lot of times people come in and say, I need to update my will. And we'll have to explain to them that, you need to have a will written. And they'll say, no, I have a will. I just need it revised. Well, I'm sorry, you can't do that. You have to revoke it and rewrite it. People think they're going to save money that way, and really you're not. A will can be designed to do many different things, but remember that a will is only a death document. Now, the last option, and the most
generally the most favorable option for anybody with any type of property or sizable estate or interests is going to be a trust, a revocable living trust, or an irrevocable trust. We don't do irrevocable trusts, so we're not going to cover it in this segment. But a revocable living trust is a trust that becomes active the minute that you execute it and fund it. A trust is sort of like a fictitious you. So if Jane Doe comes into my office and sets up a revocable living trust, then Jane Doe will also have the revocable living trust of Jane Doe. It becomes a separate legal entity, an extension of her, if you will. Unlike a will, a revocable living trust is effective the day you execute and fund it. So whatever you have going into your will, or however you manage your affairs, will be done through the trust. You'll appoint a trustee and a substitute trustee, somebody who will manage your affairs in the event you become incapacitated. Now, this is also an advantage to you. And the reason this is an advantage is because, let's say you were unfortunately in a bad accident and in a persistent vegetative state, or you were hospitalized for an extensive period of time, or even if it were an interim thing. Let's say you had a surgery and you had to be put into a medically induced coma for a month. Your revocable living trust would still be in effect, and whoever your trustee was that was appointed to the estate would be able to manage your affairs for you. A revocable living trust contains many different components, one of those being a pour-over will. And effectively what a pour-over will is when you set up a revocable living trust, you're going to deed your houses and your real property and those sorts of things into the trust. You're going to change the name on your deeds to the trust. And what that means is even if you were to pass, the trust still holds those titles on your behalf. The trust would also manage other things such as bank accounts. So everything would go into the trust. That's called funding the trust. We mentioned that earlier. However, let's say something were to happen and you forgot to put a piece of property into the trust. Let's say you had a life insurance policy you forgot to put into your trust. What would happen is your pour-over will would be probated and it would catch those things and put them into your trust for you. It's a fail-safe way of making sure that anything that you may have forgotten to put in, maybe you forgot to update your trust, would end up into your trust one way or the other. Another component would be a durable power of attorney. You would appoint a power of attorney to manage your affairs so long as you are still alive. And you could have an advanced medical directive. Maybe you don't want to be resuscitated. You don't want to be left on life support. Maybe you want to be left on life support. A durable power of attorney and an advanced medical directive would allow you to make those decisions. The other advantage to a revocable living trust is you never have to get rid of it or rewrite it. You can always amend it and change it. And most states operate under what's called the Uniform Trust Act. And that allows you to use your trust in multiple states. Unlike a will, certain states may have different formalities. For example, a state that I previously lived in required that there be two witnesses sign and notarize your will at the time of execution. That's the same as North Carolina. But another state that I previously lived in required 3. So your will in one state may not pass muster in another. If you're in a state that follows the UTA, your trust should be good in whatever state you go to. So it's important to remember that you need to sit down and consult with an attorney in your jurisdiction, whether it's our firm or any firm, to determine what it is you need for an estate plan. Now, for more complex estate planning, we will generally refer out our clients because some trusts get really involved and sometimes you need real estate attorneys and things of that nature. You might need CPAs or tax attorneys, and we don't do those sort of things. But as I mentioned in other segments, and what I usually tell folks is if we don't do it, we probably know a guy. We know somebody we can refer you to. We have a network of other attorneys we can work with, and that we can get you the right answers or get you to the right people. So at the very least, we can be your hub and your network. And we are more than happy to do that.
Thank you for tuning into the East Carolina Law Group, where your family is our priority. You can find us on the web at www.eastcarolinalaw.com. You can find us on our Facebook page at the East Carolina Law Group. You can also call us at 252-453-2273. And if you want to find more videos and keep updated on when we put some more of these kind of things up for some more self-help kind of information, you can do so by subscribing to our YouTube channel by clicking on the link right about here. It's there. Down. Yes, right there. Subscribe by clicking our link. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you found this informative and have a great day.